Nainari Marie Gould. My name's Marie Gould and I'm the co-chair of the Blackwood Reconciliation Group. Ganami and Inadlu Ganiyata Tamdi. I would like to pay my respects and acknowledge that this is Ghana land and that we're very lucky to be meeting here at the Colebrook Reconciliation Park. Today we've heard some real truth-telling from former residents and families of former residents at this place. The children here have asked lots of questions, they've listened and learned. Part of what we've been doing is talking about approaching the upcoming referendum for the voice, the importance of recognising that there was no voice for the families of children who were removed to this place under previous government policies, and the desire from everyone here today, from Kunyi Junan McInerney, from Mackenzie and from Raymond Finn, that the future is different for their children, that their children have a voice, that their children can thrive, and we just hope that people can listen to those voices with respect and patience, and as Raymond in particular has said, this has been a difficult time for Aboriginal people where some people have found these truths difficult and are pushing back with anger and some racism. So we've had a beautiful day where we've heard from these people. We've had the future of Australian children listen, and thank you to them. It's been a real honour to hear their stories. Thank you.
Well, I want to acknowledge the traditional people of the land here. Who are they? I live in Sydney. Ghana, sorry. It's Ghana people. I'm thinking about the Eora mob in Sydney, but anyway, the Ghana, the people here and elders, past and present, and thank you for coming here. The reason I wanted to do this here is because on Saturday I got welcome to country down the south coast of New South Wales, so I'm involved there. So I'm sorry I couldn't be here. This is why I wanted to do this. So we're just getting our voices out slowly. We're not forcing like other people. We want to just for our stories to, be amplified and do it slowly, because there's a lot of stuff that this is bringing out of people in the nation. So I'm trying a different tactic. So this land is truth telling anyway. So we were here, and me and Graham and Kunyi here, we're telling our story this way, and there's a gentle approach rather than sort of hard hitting, like a lot of people are doing. And because I can't be at the march, so I thought I'd just, and I thank you for coming. Thank you for you guys. You're the next generation. That is very good, and the older generation here. And thank you that you guys have been here. And it's without the Blackwood Reconciliation Group, we wouldn't have that Fountain of Tears, all this other stuff here, and the Aboriginals Lands Trust as well, because this is the land that we're on that's looking after this place with the maintenance and things, everything like that. So I want to sort of switch it to somebody else for a while. I think if we can ask questions from the questions, Brian.
What was childhood like for you guys, the good and the bad?
Myself, I was taken away when I was only 1 month old from my mother, and taken to Corn, where there was Colebrook before here, right? That was in 1943. So then after 1 year up there, we had a drought, so they transferred all those kids, about 30 or 40 of us, to this particular plot of land here. And this was Colebrook, I grew up here until 1960, so I was about 16 years here. And yeah, you asked the question about how did we sort of live, Well, really, I didn't know my own brothers and sisters. So I had all those kids, 30 of them, were my brothers and sisters, you know. So we had probably just normal fun like any other brothers and sisters. Sure, we got into trouble a lot. I can tell you some horrible stories we used to do, and which I wouldn't do because they were too dangerous. And we had a big quarry down here as well, where I don't know what's there now, but there used to be a huge quarry right near the tunnels. And you know, we used to climb straight up the cliff faces of the quarries. No thought of falling off. None of us ever fell. But they're the sort of dangerous things we've done. And believe it or not, the old steam trains, we used to jump on them and go for trips up to Mount Barker, you know. But there was dangerous because we had to walk back because they came down the hill too fast. So we couldn't jump off because we used to get all our belly scrubbed off with soot, right, from the steam trains. So we did all those sorts of things, but we also got into trouble a lot because the superintendents who used to, well, there were two beautiful old missionary women who were here up until 1953, I think, 52. And they were really lovely two old ladies from England, English ladies. And they were really beautiful, you know, like they treated us really nice. But then there was a change where they brought in superintendents. And some of them were really nasty, you know. And men, they were men. And yeah, they were, I've got to be careful how I talk to girls, but some of them were very nasty to the boys and to the girls, you know, in lots of different ways. So we copped a fair bit of, you know, bad treatment. Well, it was wrong treatment, but they just did it under the, I suppose, cloth of being UAM missionaries, you know. But they were in actual fact superintendents. So we had some days where it was pretty cruel, but us kids all stuck together all the time, and we loved each other, and we had lots of fun. And we made the very best of bad circumstances where none of us knew our mums or dads. So, I mean, I didn't find my mum until when I was about 18. I had to go searching for her, you know. And, you know, it was nice to catch up to her because she was able to explain what happened to me when I was a baby. I didn't know the story until she told me, so, because the missionaries didn't actually tell me why I was taken away from mother. They didn't tell me who my mother was. So that's a life we lived, you know. But yeah, I'd say thanks to the Blackwood Football Club and the Coromandel Cricket Club, they made my life, you know, because I loved my football and I loved my cricket. So, and they used to take us kids, like a lot of the players from Blackwood and the cricketers from Coromandel used to come pick us up and take us to games and take us to training. And they were really good people, you know, like, so yeah, I mean, that taught me there are good people out in the community who, you know, who we could trust, and certainly they were much better than the superintendents who were looking after us. So yeah, that's about, in a nutshell, how we grew up. But yeah, in lots of ways I loved being with all the other kids because they were my only family. But then after that, you know, I naturally, when I finished high school at Goodwood, I don't know whether Goodwood doesn't exist anymore, right? Goodwood Tech, down past Hunley. And, you know, like, yeah, I got an apprenticeship as a toolmaker when I was 17, I was 16, turning 17. So, and that was given to me by an old German visitor who came visiting us one day. And just by chance I was the only one who finished high school. So he got me apprenticed as a toolmaker, and from then I never turned back, you know. I had a wonderful life, you know. I played some league footy games for Port Adelaide, I played state cricket, you know. So I had a wonderful life, really, and I can't, you know, like, I made the best of when I got out of here and I found my mother. But, you know, like my father, he was from Northern Territory. He really didn't want to know me, so that was fine. You know, I was just happy to see my mother and my brothers and sisters. So that's about my story, you know, okay? But yeah, I mean, I'm not angry about anything, you know, because like I was saying, the guys from the footy club and the cricket club, they used to come pick us up, take us to training, and they were great guys. And I loved playing footy for Blackwood and loved playing cricket for Coromandel. So and well, Foss Williams went to school with my mother, so that's the only reason why I got a game at Port. And you don't know Foss Williams, but he used to coach Port Adelaide years ago in the 50s and 60s, you know. But that's a long time ago, isn't it? So that's me, okay? Yeah.
I was wondering how different the places look since when you were a child to now.
When I was here, 69 to 1970, there was only 4 of us. So just imagine, there was the boys' dorms here and the girls' dorms there. How many rooms? I don't know.
Yeah, they had got big boys' dormitories. There was about 15 of us kids in there, those boys, and then the girls' dormitory. Yeah. And naturally, in the middle of the night, we used to try and sleep.
Yeah. So.
No. But yeah, that's how it was. And then they had 5 rooms where they had, we used to double up and they had 2 or 3 in one room, you know, so yeah, it was quite a big place.
Yeah.
It's an old coaching, I think there's a photo in the paper today about it.
Yeah. It was a scary place for us because there was only 4 of us. I was the youngest, and that was sort of towards 1969. And in the middle, you had the dorms. The house was shaped like an E. So you had the dorms, then you had the toilets and whatever else there. There was a old cellar there, right?
Yeah, there was a cellar. Right?
There's a cellar there. If you see the ground like that, and that was a scary place. But there was only 4 of us, and we lived in this one room on this side. And you know, whether you could hear people walking around, I don't know. But you know, ghost. But this here, before it became a home, I found later, it was a hospital place, isn't it?
I thought it was a coach inn.
Eh?
It was a coach inn.
Oh, it was a coach inn, yeah. So it was like that. So I just, yeah, it was scary because I was the youngest. There was Philip, Graham, and Jeffrey, and we were all from the same town, Maori. So we all huddled in this one little area, and you know the toilet was sort of outside, so I had to wake up everybody to go, you know, to the toilet with me. Had the light on, but when you go in there, they'll run back in the room. So I'd be so, you know, frightened. But those were the times. During the day, during the week, we had school. 3 of them went down that road to the train, Eden Hills, and I used to go to Blackwood, so I used to walk up there by myself, you know, up in that time. And yeah, so just go back to this question here. We had good times, but wasn't a lot of good times, you know. For me anyway, you know, for us at that last time, there was a lot of sadness because everybody had gone, and you had the sense of loss because there's nobody else around, you know. You had no older people. We were all just about the same age, I think, you know, really. But, and you're trying to find something, and we couldn't go across the road there. And there was a girl that lived across there who went to my class, Sonia, her name was, and there was a couple of kids down there, Philip, Rudder, and them. But you couldn't go and play there in the afternoon with them, you know. We had to come back and stay here. And, you know, and we were happy when the black and white TV first came to Colebrook. We were happy. And we was, you know, had this little thing you turn the channel with. That was our pastime. But also we had a creek down here, a Sturt Creek,
Nice shepherds.
Yeah, and we used to go down there swim. So there was a little bit of happiness, you know, but a lot of sadness, you know, and we're still reeling from that, you know.
Yeah, we used to swim in the pools in the
Down there, Sturt, yeah.
they had a big gorge out the back there. I don't know whether it's still there. Does the Sturt Creek still exist down there? Or they hadn't dammed it off. They were talking about it. I must go down there one day if I stay alive a bit longer. So, yeah, we used to swim in what we call the 9-foot pool, right? And it was only about 3 foot. But being kids, you know, we used to call it deep. So we used to dive in 3 foot of water. It's a wonder we didn't break our necks. But yeah, we had good fun down the creek. We saw a lot of big brown snakes too, didn't we, down there? I don't know how we weren't bitten while we were swimming. The red bellies, you know, you would have seen them, Raymond. Yeah. But yeah. And it's surprising, none of us kids ever got bitten by a snake in all the years I was here. So we sort of just learned how to walk through the high grass. Yeah, so there we are.
Thank you for coming to talk to us. It's really insightful. Yeah. My question is, as children, what was your understanding about why you were here?
I really didn't know why I was here. That's my understanding, but I just made the best of me. I didn't have family or anything, so they were my family. So I made the best of what was given to me. You know, I didn't know anything else. So I guess I always wondered who my mum and dad was, because all my mates at school, at Blackwood School, and you know, they used to talk about mum and dad, and we used to go down. One kid down the road here, he got his first. They were the first ones who got a television here in I think it was about 1956 or 57, and we never ever saw TV then. So all of us kids used to flock down to that one house just down the street, and there'd be about 20 of us trying to watch the Cisco Kid at 4:30 in the afternoon after school. You know, like, you know, they're the sort of things we use. The kids around here too used to always come here and kick a footy with us and play cricket with us on a tennis court. Remember the tennis court, Raymond? Next door here, just out the back. And yeah, we made a cricket pitch out of the white clay. So we made a beautiful white clay cricket pitch, and we used to kick a footy end to end there, and we built ourselves a little oval out the back in the scrub here to play footy in, and all the kids from the neighbourhood, you know, there was no Aboriginal kids, it was all non-Aboriginal kids, and you know, they were all our mates really, so they used to flock here all the time, and they were allowed to play footy and cricket with us here, so yeah, we had a good time with the locals as well, so it was good, yeah.
Did you have anything you wanted to add about what you understood as a child, why you were living in the home of your dad?
Well, we weren't allowed to know.
No.
No. Nobody.
Same here.
Nobody would tell us anything. I don't know about you, Kunyi.
No, they didn't tell us.
No.
We just wanted to get back with our mother. Cried for our mothers when we come to Adelaide. Cried nearly every night for our mother, and we started to get hidings for crying for our mother. But at least I was with my 2 brothers. I was with my sister, but my sister, after 1 year, was sent to Papua New Guinea to be with another family, and that really broke our hearts. They didn't care about how we felt, and we never saw my sister again till about 5 years ago, and it really broke up our family. All this children's home thing and foster home thing really did a lot of damage to our families. A lot of my siblings blame me, being the eldest, for what's happened to us. I said it had nothing to do with me. I was too young. It's all the missionaries, social workers, and all those people separate everyone. From Udendata Children's Home, I was sent to Grange to a family with my 2 brothers and 1 sister, and it was a foster home, and they were very cruel people and forever doing jobs and chores, and we didn't really have a life. We just was cleaning baths and cleaning basins and washing all the clothes and hanging them all out. Straight after school we had jobs to do, one after another, and then we had to go and peel potatoes, carrots, and do all the cooking the meat and everything. And as soon as I'd done everything, I'd escape in my room. All I did was draw and draw and draw. I think that's why I improved in my artwork, because I come top of the class at school. And I still do art, and I love doing art. And last year I won an award in New South Wales for Book of the Year, which is, the book's name's Kunyi. It's my life story in Udendata Children's Home. So a lot of good came out of that. I don't know what else to say. Ask me question.
Your book also was exhibited at the Bologna Book Festival in Italy, which is the most prestigious book festival in the world this year.
Was that the Kunyi book? Yeah, that's pretty good.
From the perspective of people being a part of the stolen generation, why do you think the voice is important?
My article come out today, and I see the if you read the article there, I was saying that I wanted to. I believe in the voice. But I was a little bit hesitant at the beginning because I was hearing a lot of stuff, particularly in Sydney. As soon as you walk outside and people down the street, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I said, hang on. I'm trying to, evaluate and assess a lot of stuff going on. Because they seen me as an Aboriginal person there, and these were a lot of the white people, telling me. Because they wasn't quite sure themselves, what was happening. And there was a lot of our people, Redfern, I live in that area, Surrey Hills, in Sydney. They've actually come and asking me as well. So I was sort of battling with it at the beginning when it first came out. I'm thinking, what's all this? But the other thing is, when I look back at this place, right, and the history here, then I looked at before I was taken away. I was with the grandparents and with the family, moving around, and that's where my initial thought went back there about the voice, because they never had anything. They didn't have anything at all, and I thought, well, bringing it back and doing this article today, which shed a bit of light, on what we're doing, and today it sort of impacted me a bit more seeing the article. I was on the radio, ABC, last night. It reinforced the idea that this is very important, but I've also talked about my kids, and they all have kids later, and the thing is that that's the important. I was looking at that part where I didn't have a voice here, Graham didn't have a voice here, and our people didn't have a voice. So here's our opportunity to do it. But I came in a way, the importance for me is not galloping in, cracking the whip and everything like that, making a big show of it. I just wanted to tell the story in a more of a gentle approach and doing it tactfully. Those people out there with the No campaign, they just blatantly saying it, When they blatantly say that, what they do is cause a lot of racism, a lot of hatred. I was was abused the last couple of days before I come here. Somebody said to me the other day, "Oh, I'll get back to the creek where you belong to." And I think, well, where do I find the creek? I'm right in the middle of the Sydney. So these are the things that, it's just things that come out of people. And this is what this whole issue has brought out. I thought it would bring out the best in people, but it's just bringing out the worst. And, I'm getting it copped right there in Sydney there. But I didn't want to do this in Sydney. I wanted to do it here because this is the important place. This little ground here is like a sacred ground. Because from here, I could say to those people the importance of it. I was taken away. I wasn't even a citizen. My grandparent wasn't even a citizen. We were, 1967, made a little bit of thing, but it went down. But hopefully this time, it'll stay there and it'll be enshrined in the Constitution. That's what I'm looking for. And for the hope of, mainly you guys, the future of Australia and our Aboriginal people, kids mainly. And this is what this place is about. We're coming here telling our story to young people. And this is what I wanted to do, yeah. Hopefully that's a thing. Yeah.
Would you like to make a comment, Graham or Kunyi?
Don't say I said it all.
Well, let's face it, we had no say about how we grew up. And I think the most important thing about this whole thing is people need to listen, right? That's one of the big problems in the world. Now, I coached a lot of junior football in Murray Bridge, where I'm living, right? The first thing I teach all the kids is, if you don't listen, you don't learn. Now, the voice is a great opportunity for the people of Australia to listen to a voice. Now, the composition of the voice is going to be important, in my opinion, because it needs to be that you need to have the right people as the voice. Otherwise, I'd worry a little bit about it. But yeah, certainly, I think it's about time after 80 years of my life that people started listening to the real needs of Aboriginal people in this country. And my personal opinion is that the composition of the voice, they should be picked from traditional areas where they don't have all the resources that are available in normal communities like us. And, I really believe that, but that's only one part of the whole process. I mean, the first one is to be recognised by Australian people that we are the first people in this country, and that we need to be enshrined in the Constitution as the first people of Australia, okay? And then after that, the process will take place where they'll pick out who's going to be the voice, and I believe that that is the most important part of the whole process, because if you don't have the right people there, now I'm going to be a bit critical of a lot of my own people by saying that there will be a lot of Aboriginal people who are well off and had a good education and who are earning a lot of money and have a lot of money. They'll want to be on there because of this money, right? We don't need those sort of people as a voice. We need people who haven't got anything, who know how important it is to be listened to be on as a voice. That's my personal feeling about the whole thing. But you know what? To get to that stage, first of all, we need to be recognised in the Constitution, okay? And then once that's passed, then process will take place, and the composition of the voice is probably one of the most important of the lot. And I'd like to see people from tribal areas, whether they can speak English or not, they can bring an interpreter with them, but they need to be heard, because they're the people, like in Yuendamu and up in Arnhem Land areas, they need to be listened to, not so much us urban Aborigines, because I've lived a life, just about a white life, okay? And you know, I'm still proud of the way I've lived life, even though I've been a ratbag a lot of times, but I've done it, you know. And I've worked in the government for about 40 years, you know, like 35, 40 years as a social worker. So, you know, Ian worked with me in Murray Bridge in the 1980s, didn't he? He was a youth worker there and I was a social worker with all the kids. And we worked together, took them on camps and all that sort of stuff, you know. You know, like, you know, yeah, certainly I'm a yes man, you know. I believe that we should be heard, and listening is the most important thing in this country. I live in a conservative area as well, you know, like Murray Bridge is a farm and it's a Liberal country party sort of stronghold, and I cop a lot of snide remarks from a lot of people up there. Comments like, oh, and here we go, spending billions of dollars on Aboriginal people and wasting money. Well, you know what, if they only listen to the right people as a voice, then they could save their taxpayers' money. They call it their taxpayers' money. Well, I paid tax for 60 years. So, and that isn't an issue with me. But if they only listen, then the money can be spent by the Parliament better than how it's been spent in the past. So people need to listen and think about what they're doing when this, you know, referendum comes up. Right? So that's my opinion.
Thank you for sharing it. Kunyi, did you want to add anything?
Well, I'm listening to what they're saying and I'm agreeing with them. Yeah.
You don't need to say any more if you don't want to. That's
I'm still thinking. As long as they don't have any more stolen generation, any more children's home, I'm happy with that. I just don't want Aboriginal kids go through what we've been through. I want them to live a normal life and not struggle through fighting their way. I was lucky I had a good social worker called Loja Donahue, and she helped me go into the right path of nursing. So I'm really happy with that. Although I was in hostels, Aboriginal girls' hostel, I've seen a lot of sad things that happen in the hostels, and yeah, someone took the wrong way. Really sad, but just don't want to see any of that happen again.
Is that why you foster Aboriginal children?
I have, and I won an award for that, and I've fostered close to 50 kids, I think, trying to put them through the right track, and a lot of good came out of that. I get phone calls from Whyalla, Port Augusta, how you going, Kunyi? Hey, Nana Kunyi or Mama Kunyi, you know. It's good to hear their voices and they're going on in life. Had some deaths, sadly, and been in the newspaper, some of those deaths. Apart from that, yeah, I've seen a lot of good come out of the foster kids. Anything else? Keep going.
Hey, Raymond, is there anything more that you'd want heard? Or?
Yeah. All right then. Thank you very much. Yeah.